Russia could resort to nuclear weapons if it loses in Ukraine, says former Russian president. Possible animal hair found at Koberger's apartment could be home run for prosecution, Dr. Michael Baden. Dark money group shuttered after questions raised about deal involving Kellyanne Conway. Biden slammed for classified docs response, Alec Baldwin's big mistakes and more top headlines. Do you suffer from anxiety? Take the Zung anxiety test to find out.
This is breaking news.
I'm Erin Burnett in Washington.
Russia could resort to nuclear weapons if it loses in Ukraine, says former Russian president. Russia's former president said his country could use nuclear weapons if it loses in Ukraine. Nuclear powers do not lose major conflicts on which their fate depends, Dmitry Medvedev said. His comments came one day before Ukraine's allies meet to discuss giving it further military aid. Russia's former president, Dmitry Medvedev, said on Thursday that Russia could resort to using nuclear weapons if it is defeated in Ukraine. The loss of a nuclear power in a conventional war can provoke the outbreak of a nuclear war. Nuclear powers do not lose major conflicts on which their fate depends, he said, according to a translation by. Related video. On Ukraine, Vladimir Putin was betrayed by what was believed to be a pro-Moscow country, Daily Motion. This should be obvious to anyone. Even to a Western politician who has retained at least some trace of intelligence. Medvedev, who is the currently deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, and has also served as the country's prime minister, made his comments on the Telegram messaging app in advance of Western leaders meeting in Germany to pledge more military aid to Ukraine. Medvedev has previously suggested that his country could use nuclear weapons. But Thursday's comments came with the rare admission that Russia's war in Ukraine is not going as planned, and could end in failure. Despite expectations of an easy victory, Russia's invasion has turned into a protracted and grinding conflict, with Ukrainian forces pushing the Russian army back in the east of the country in recent months. At the same time, Russia has repeatedly threatened to escalate its attacks if Ukraine's allies give further military support, but has so far not done so. Russia's President Vladimir Putin, as well as some of his officials, have, in the past, threatened the use of nuclear weapons. But those threats have cooled off in recent months, with experts saying at the time that Russia was likely bluffing. Putin said in December that Russia would not use nuclear weapons unprovoked, adding that Russia had not gone mad and would not be the first country to use them, as the BBC reported. Possible animal hair found at Koberger's apartment could be home run for prosecution, Dr. Michael Baden. Search warrants from Brian Koberger's office and apartment were released Wednesday. Newly released search warrants for the office and apartment of University of Idaho stabbing suspect Brian Koberger have provided insight into the evidence collected by officials. Famed forensic pathologist and Fox News contributor Dr. Michael Baden argued one piece of evidence collected could be the home run for the prosecution to convict Koberger. If they found one animal hair, and I've been involved with this in the past, which came from the dog that was at the scene, that's a home run also for the prosecution, Baden said on America Reports Thursday. When police responded to a 911 call the morning following the murders, they found students Xana Kernadal and Ethan Chapin dead on the second floor, and Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogan dead on the upper level. Police also located Goncalves' dog, which also survived the attack, in her bedroom. Baden argued that if the animal hair was found to be from Goncalves' dog, it would be a huge win for the prosecution. In addition to the dog hair, the highly anticipated warrants contained details about other evidence Baden said could be used in favor of both the defense and the prosecution. One of the neighbors said that she heard a lot of vacuuming at the time the night of the incident. So there may be blood or hair in the vacuum material that relate to one of the decedents, he said. Also, they recovered shoes which did not have a diamond imprint on it. Remember, there was a diamond-imprinted boot at the scene. So there may be information for both sides. Investigators described previously undisclosed evidence they were seeking, including blood, DNA, shoes with diamond-patterned soles and data compilations of information about the victims and the King Roadhouse where they were killed. The warrants allege that Kohberger planned the ambush and had studied other murders and how to avoid detection as part of his preparation. These murders appear to have been planned, rather than a crime that happened in a moment of conflict, an affidavit seeking the search warrant reads. Kohberger faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and a felony burglary charge for the November 13 stabbing deaths of Madison Mogen, 21, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, Xana Kernadel, 20, and Ethan Chapin, 20. Baden revealed his takeaway was that it seems that the prosecution is doing a very good job in this case, and also that the defense is doing a very good job. After Kohberger waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing last Thursday, a Latah County judge has scheduled his preliminary hearing for June 26, and it is expected to last 5 days. The preliminary hearing will determine whether there is enough probable cause for the case to advance to district court. Baden did highlight the search warrant from the white car connected to the investigation has not yet been released. DNA evidence collected from the vehicle could be another home run. What hasn't been released, though, yet is the warrant for the car, which is in Pennsylvania and should be released because the car might have a lot more important evidence, especially if there's any evidence from blood hair in the car, which is hard to wipe away, he said. That's a home run. As the defense and prosecution prepare their cases for the preliminary hearing, Kohberger is being held at the Latah County Jail without bond. Dark money group shuttered after questions raised about deal involving Kellyanne Conway. A dark money group tied to conservative activist Leonard Leo shut down 3 days after reporters questioned its role in the multimillion-dollar sale of Kellyanne Conway's polling company. Politico reported last month that the BH Fund, which had been formed in 2016 with an anonymous $24 million donation, apparently helped finance a 2017 transaction between Creative Response Concepts Incorporated and Conway's firm, the polling company worth between $1 million and $5 million. And correspondent Heidi Przybyla followed up with a new report showing the fund closed down immediately after she inquired about its role in the transaction. Nothing screams efforts to conceal quite like folding up an organization just as you start getting questions about it, said Sourav Ghosh, Director of Federal Campaign Finance Reform for the Nonpartisan Campaign Legal Center. The firm, now known as CRC Advisors, did extensive consulting work for Leo in 2017 and is now led by the conservative judicial activist, and spokesman Adam Kennedy told Politico that BH Fund had been dormant since the end of 2021 and was dissolved in October as other organizations made it obsolete. Leo and CRC have not disputed BH Fund's involvement in the transaction, which came as Conway served as White House advisor to Donald Trump, and the liberal watchdog group Campaign for Accountability filed a complaint to Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee Chair Gary Peters, Democrat, Michigan, citing a law prohibiting executive branch employees from participating in government matters that influence their own financial interests. There are clear indications based on the facts at hand that Ms. Conway participated personally and substantially in advising President Trump to nominate justices to the Supreme Court, and that her personal financial interests were affected, the complaint says. Leo has said the BH Fund is a charitable organization, and the tax code permits such entities to spend unlimited money on political activities without disclosing their donors, and Ghosh said the conservative activist's role in selling Conway's business shows why the influence of dark money is doubly problematic. Conway, for her part, downplayed the Senate complaint by texting Politico, "That's what outside groups fighting for law and justice do to get attention." Use reporters.